ultimately sponsored a conference in 1993 with a group of families whose brothers, husbands, sons had supposedly committed suicide. The numbers kept growing, and there were ultimately 109 such families, none of whom ever received any justice. So take a look at this letter. This is a letter to George Leonard, Associate Chief of the U.S. Forest Service, from Kenneth Cohen, Assistant General Counsel, Research and Operations Division. So the lawyer is writing to the boss about this problem with all these C-130s hauling drugs. Look at the very last sentence of this letter. It says, apparently, DOD thinks that by having the Forest Service as the intermediary, if any future aircraft are used in drug smuggling, the Forest Service and not DOD will suffer the adverse publicity. They're not concerned with what drugs do in neighborhoods. They're not concerned with people going to jail for drugs. They're not concerned with anything else. What they're concerned about is who's going to take the blame. Now, you're going to love this one too. There's a guy named Richard Grasso who is chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. I just saw him on Lou Dobbs' Money Line the other night at CNN. And in 1999, this is from June of 1999, this is an AP story, Grasso hops on an airplane in New York, flies to Bogota, Colombia, gets in an armor-plated limo, drives up into the foothills, and meets with the leadership of the FARC guerrillas. And of course, everybody in cocaine deals drugs. The FARC guerrillas do, the ELN do, the government does, the right-wing paramilitaries do. The dog deals drugs. Everybody deals drugs in Colombia. There's a difference, though, in that the FARC guerrillas were not taking their drug profits and investing them in Wall Street. And this is a story about how Dick Grasso went to the FARC, and he said he wanted to expose Reyes the opportunities capital markets will present to Colombia when peace is achieved. And he offered the guy to walk around the New York Stock Exchange. It was a cold call saying, invest your drug profits in Wall Street. And you know what Comandante Reyes said? No, Senor Grasso, I think we would like to keep our money in Colombia for the benefit of the Colombian people. Thank you for coming. And of course, what immediately followed was Plan Colombia. And we have since witnessed the merciless, ruthless, bitter, nasty, vile displacement of more than 1.5 million people by the spraying of unbelievable chemicals on their food crops, on the coca crops, on everything. There are no birds, there are no grasshoppers. And then, of course, the idea is to drive the coca production off of the lands controlled by the FARC, where it's taxed, onto the lands controlled by the paramilitaries who love Wall Street. And of course, they've bounced coca production around South America. They dropped it down in Bolivia and Peru. There's signs that it's picking up in Peru and Bolivia again. But the idea is about controlling the money. Aha. Thank you. Now, in the U.S., I don't know how it is here in Canada. It's got to be pretty close. I mean, you guys don't do anything that we don't want you to do anyway. I think that's a shame. If I walk into a bank with $10,001 in cash, the bank teller has to fill out a form called a currency transaction report because I might be a drug money launderer. However, according to the Bank Secrecy Act of 1996, which created an entity called FinCEN, Financial Criminal Enforcement Network, there were a whole bunch of people who were granted exemptions to that, who could handle all the cash they wanted to. Look at number 4. A listed entity other than a bank whose common stock or analogous equity interests are listed on the New York Stock Exchange or American Stock Exchange or are designated as a NASDAQ national market security, which means if you have a company with your little symbol trading on Wall Street, you can move all the cash you want to. It's legal. Nobody asks any questions at all. It's perfectly legal. That's going to become extremely important here in just a second. Now, do major corporations launder drug money? As a matter of fact, in June of 2000, Lowell Bergman of PBS, even the so-called progressive media there's a new term that's coming into the lexicon as a result of all the people in the progressive movement who are attacking me because I threaten their business income. And their SAW stands but we call it the LLL, or the Lily Liver Left. But Lowell Bergman at PBS did reveal something very interesting, that in June of 2000, a bunch of companies were called into the U.S. Department of Justice for not because they were laundering drug money, they were laundering too much drug money. The pig noises were like offending a lot of people. And the companies were Hewlett Packard, Ford, Sony, General Motors, Whirlpool, General Electric. Who owns NBC? General Electric. We bring good things to life. And Philip Morris. Philip Morris is actually being sued by 28 departments, that's states, or provinces, in Colombia for smuggling Marlboros into Colombia and taking home buttloads of drug cash, which they then insert into their corporate books as net profits without recording the transactions. And you're going to understand how important that is in a moment. But these are just a few of the icons of capitalism in the free market society that are known to launder drug money. Now, in that context, $600 billion a year moving through the world banking system, and I'll give you just one guess as to which nation's banking system moves almost all of it. The United States. The Taliban, in June of 2001, everybody knows that Afghanistan had been until 2001 the largest grower of the opium poppy on the planet, right? The Taliban destroyed, excuse me, their opium crop in January 2001. There's chocolate more. And with a stroke of a scythe, they took $200 billion in cash out of the world banking system. What that means, and this is confirmed by ABC, DEA, UN, a lot of people put people on the ground. The planting season is in November. The harvest is in May and June. Bear in mind, it's harvest season right now. When did we occupy Afghanistan? Last November. Remember that too. $200 billion in liquid cash went out of the world banking system. Now here's some more confirmation. This is a report from the U.S. Senate, February 5th, 2001, from the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations of the Judiciary Committee. This report was authored or sponsored by Senator Carl Levin. And it was a report on correspondent banking, which is how foreign banks gain access to U.S. banks. And basically, it's just a fee system. It's, if there's a bank that's not licensed to do business in the U.S., they'll go to Deutsche Bank, they'll go to Bank of America, they'll go to Citigroup, J.P. Morgan Chase, and they'll pay fees, and then they can move money through the U.S. system. But this report disclosed, right here, U.S. banks have allowed rogue foreign banks, and this is all political hubris, but what counts is the money. Bank regulators let billions slip through. Well, Carl Levin finally admitted that it was $500 billion, but look at this, $1 trillion laundered annually. Criminal money. J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, First Union, I mean, they're all here. That's a lot of money. And that money is powerful.
Mike, thank you for your brave work. You, Horowitz, Chomsky, are my favorite journalists. And I just want you to know that we at POT TV think you're the antidote to their smallpox protection racket. And we're going to do our best to get your information out there and promote it. Now, I just have a quick joke for you and a quick question for you. Okay. The joke is, what's the difference between how Clinton got the job and how W got the job?
I don't know.
Well, with Clinton, they said, move all this coke and one day you'll be president. With Bush, they said, easy on the coke and one day you'll be president. But, and related to that is my question. What's the best evidence to link the Clintons and the Bushes to the Mena, Arkansas thing? But like, where do you, say a soccer mom out in the, Canada, the US, who's hearing you for the first time, where would you point them?
There's tons of evidence about Mena, Arkansas that's good. Gary Webb's incredible book, Dark Alliance, has U.S. government documents showing that Hillary Clinton's law firm, the Rose law firm, negotiated the CIA contracts all around the Mena airport. There's incredible documentation. I had a two-part series running pre-September 11th on AIG, showing that AIG, Goldman Sachs, had formed an an insurance company called Coral Reinsurance that was using money out of the Arkansas Development Financial Authority that was laundered drug money. There's a ton of information on Mena, Arkansas. And the worst mistake anybody could make is to think, oh, we'll be fine if we replace W with Hillary, John Corzine, and Joseph Lieberman. Forget it.
Keep fighting the power, man.
Thank you.